Alrighty, here we go with part two. I don't know if you've seen part one or not yet, but if you haven't, you need to. Very interesting. Okay, we're going to put all these pieces together. Hopefully everything's going to work out alright. I think it will. You have to be a little further out because I got to put the numbers on. Dang. To be out here like so. For all those numbers to fit. You know, a pair of scissors would probably work better, I think. Just cut them all off. There is no editing because the movie maker died. This is out of date. So we got to do a whole straight shot here. Hopefully I can keep you entertained till the end of it. I'll try anyway. Now I got to cut all these stupid numbers off here. They don't even give you any glue. Use my own freaking glue. That's kind of stupid. But that's the way it goes. So you haven't seen part one. Well, I'll give you a sample of it here in just a moment. Pretty good stuff. I tell you, life is quite a trip, actually. You never know what's going to happen. You just kind of deal with it as it comes along. Some are living to die. Others are dying to live. Never thought of it like that, have you? Yeah, probably not. Okay, we're looking good here. Living and dying. Yeah, that's what it is. So, this being all said, I ain't got no movie maker no more. So I gotta do a straight shot. Hopefully that camera won't shut off in the middle of it. That's what I'm kind of hoping on. It doesn't die out. But see what happens. Alright, there's all our numbers. Yeah, how about that? Alright. Put our numbers on here first. We got the 12 o'clock. Straight up. And we got our 3 o'clock. O'clock. Gotta have our 9 o'clock. And our 6 o'clock. pretty good. And we got 11 o'clock. And we got our 10 o'clock. Looks a little better. And we got our 1 o'clock. 2 o'clock. Got crowded over here, don't they? Oh well, that's the way it goes. And we got our 8 o'clock. 4 o'clock. 5 o'clock. So get these evenly placed here. Okay, and we got 7 o'clock. Brings us down to the finish line here. 9 o'clock. Yeah, looks good. Okay. Yeah, looks good. Good to me. So what are we going to talk about today? Well, first I'm going to show you a little bit about part 1. Pretty cool video actually. When you go see it, you'll say wow. Be a few wows in that one. Everything from a guy shooting his finger off by accident out in the woods, out hunting. Get these evenly spaced here. It's fairly even. What do you think? You like it? Make sure they're good and straight here is what I'm trying to figure out. Yeah, 9 needs to go. A little bit. Yeah, looks pretty good. Oops. Turn that 7 around a little bit there. All right. Yeah, it looks good to me. Yeah, so what, you might go to bed a little early or wake up a little late, but that's all part of it. Yeah, I kind of like that. I'm going to have to go with that, I reckon. Yeah, why not? Good old Elmer's here. Elmer can handle this. So y'all ever been married before? I have, I'll tell you what. Learned my lesson. Yeah, won't never do that again. No, it was a one-time shot. Either it worked or it didn't. Well, it didn't work. Well, it did for 10 years. And I'll tell you what, that was my first woman. Let me tell you what, that woman could not cook. She had no clue how to cook. Remember the first meal we ever had was spaghetti. Well, what I've learned growing up, was how you cook hamburger. Well, you gotta drain the freaking grease off of it first. Anyway, she got her spaghetti all done. Put it on the old table there. And I looked at it and I'm like, man, what's all that grease floating? Couldn't believe it. So I looked down at my plate, she looked at me. And of course I got this look on my face like, wow. Exactly what it was, wow. It looked like that spaghetti was floating in a lake. Yep, a lake of grease. Could not believe it. I'm like, got a little bit upset about it. And she knew I wasn't happy at all with it. I think we just got married too, because like I said, that was the first meal we had. Was that doggone spaghetti. Tastes like crap, man. But she tried, I guess. Needless to say, I did most of the cooking. There's no way to edit this, so there's any mistakes or whatever, well, can't edit it. Movie Maker is gone. Looking pretty good, isn't it? I kind of like it. So, getting back to the basics here. I'll show you a little bit of part one. I find this kind of interesting. True life stories, man. Stuff that really actually happened. And I was there to witness it. So these numbers here are probably the hardest part of the whole dang thing. So yeah, that marriage lasted, that's 10 years. 10 years of just craziness, man. I don't know about you, but these women, never figure them out. I think that's the way God made them. No, you can try to figure them out, but it ain't gonna work. Don't even try to go there, because you're never gonna understand them. I never have. Never will. That's why I'm single today, I guess. Creatures, man, creatures is what they are. They're just creatures. Kind of like a blind cat. Or a deaf one. Yeah, this lady was cat nuts, let me tell you. She had to have a kitty. But that's okay. I was into dogs. I wasn't into cats. Cats just seem to be weird to me. I don't know. Just different. Clock's looking pretty good, isn't it? There was an easier way to do this, but I ain't figured that out. So, just going to hope for the best on this one. I've been in arts all my life. Matter of fact, I'll tell you something kind of funny. I think I was in 7th grade at the time, junior high. And I told my art teacher, I said, well, I don't know what I'm going to do over the summertime. I says, I'll be out of school for 3 months. He said, well, Steve, he said, if you want to do your artwork, he says, tell you what I'm going to do. He said, I'm going to get you a key to the art room. What I want you to do, when you ride your bicycle here, I want you to bring your bicycle in, and then be sure just be sure that you put your bike in the inside so that way nobody will see it, that you're in the art room. So that's what I did. Man, I'd go up there almost every day, man. I'd be up there firing the kiln up, making me some pottery and baking it in the kiln. Of course, he didn't know that's what I was doing, but I did. That was kind of cool. So that was my summer vacation, was going to the art room. Had a key to the school. You think they do that nowadays? Nah. Never happened. I never did get caught. That was the funny part of it. Never did. Trying to center that with that center pin there. Not wanting to cooperate. Yeah, I just about got all the numbers in. Step in the right direction. So getting back to being married. Yeah, I was married for 10 years to the day. Yeah, imagine that. So what actually happened was, of course, a lot of us to get married, you want to go through divorce. That's kind of crazy, but at any rate, she had no idea. I had somebody follow her. Gave him $20. Say, here, man. And once you go to that bar, you found out where she was at. And when you go there, just let me know what you see. Sure enough, I went to that bar, and or did the 12, didn't I, or didn't I? I think I did, but I ain't got no glue on it. So anyway, found out she was at the bar. So we got quite a bit of information on what was going on. So lo and behold, our 10th anniversary night, she shows up. A few minutes after 12. She thought I'd be asleep. Oh no. I was awake, man. I was waiting. So she shows up. I said, yeah. I said, where you been? Oh, I was out with the girls. You were? Yeah. I said, well, who was that guy you was with? She looked at me. This ain't supposed to happen like this. I don't know why it's doing all this crap, but it is. I don't see how this thing's possibly going to tell time, but well, I guess this part here has to go in first, or last actually, according to the directions. What the hell's going on here? I don't want to come off now. It's really turned out great, isn't it? Shoot, what kind of shit is this? What's going on here, man? The little hand's supposed to go first. Now we're messing the damn numbers up. It's kind of screwed up. Come on, clock, just cooperate, gosh. Something fishy here. I don't know what it is, but it ain't cooperating. For whatever reason, I don't know. You can't screw them on. It's one of the dumbest things I think I've ever done. Definitely stupid. No question about it. I felt that one click. Oh, I kind of clicked on there. Okay. Go on with that. Wow. It's crazy. It's pretty close to 12 o'clock, right? Used to say this is my first one. I'm certain it's going to be the last one. What a joke. See this clock, you know not to buy it. You're going to have a real time with this one. Something here don't feel right. Don't know what the trick to it is, but I guess we'll figure it out here eventually. Alright, so they put everything at 12 o'clock, so that's what I did. Anyway, getting back to that blasted woman. So I told her, I says, well, where you been? Oh, I was out with the girls. I said, really? So I looked at her and I says, well, who's that long-haired guy with glasses? Both her eyes got big around. Oh, that was just a friend. Oh, it was? Yeah. Well, I said, you left the bar a few minutes after 12. I said, where'd you go? She was lost, okay? Oh, I went over to his house. You did? So what'd you do? I just watched TV. I said, you did? I said, with the lights out? Boy, her eyes got real big that time. Uh-huh. Somebody's being naughty and not nice. So, on how this clock's gonna work, we'll find out in the end, I guess. So anyway, I had this flame, like I say, he was following her, getting different information here. So she shows up, like I said, probably about 1 o'clock in the morning, I guess she showed up. So she looked at me and she said, well, what do you want me to do? So I reached in my back pocket, pulled out a garbage bag. Well, I want you to take this garbage bag, put everything you own in it. And what you don't have in it, everything else is going to the dump. Whatever you leave behind. So she said, okay. So she got all her things together and what she could manage to put together. So she filled that garbage bag up. So she goes to the door. She goes to leave and she says, come on. It was my daughter. She wanted to take my daughter with her. I said, nah. I said, according to the judge, she stays with me. She said, okay. Kind of pouting, you know. So, we go to court. Of course, judge gave me a daughter. So I was the one taking care of her, cooking her meals and taking her daycare and all that good stuff. So, me and my daughter, we kind of hung out. Cute little girl. She's an amazing daughter, I'll tell you that. She was sharp, real sharp. Some ways she was kind of screwed up a little bit, but yeah, it can happen, I guess. So, she takes him. She decided she'd go ahead and head her own way, go see her new husband. And I told her out in the parking lot, I said, woman, let me tell you something. I said, you've been on the other side of that fence, leaving your daughter behind, which is very unpleasant. You broke her heart, you didn't do mine any good. You know what? There's a price to pay for that. Just because you think that grass is greener on the other side, I got news for you. You still got rocks in that dirt. So, good luck with all that. So she goes ahead and goes on her little merry way. I said, the good Lord's going to get you for what you did, whether you know it or not. Because what you did was wrong, was not right, what you did. And you're going to have to pay the price for that. So, she definitely paid the price. So she moves out and they move into this house out in Cape Coral. So she moves out there. Happy-go-lucky, right? So she's in this big, pretty home. Shoot, I'm living in a little apartment, 600 square feet. Me and my daughter. So when we went to court, judge told her, he said, well, you're going to do all the driving, ma'am. He ain't doing no driving. You're going to do it all. Well, that really got her. Part of the price you pay, lady. The way I was looking at it. She had no idea that I'd already been to the judge. I told the judge what was going on. I said, I don't want my daughter in the middle of all this. He's like, no problem, Stevie. He said, you got full custody of her. I said, thank you, Your Honor. I said, I appreciate that. And so that's the way that kind of went. So like I said earlier, I said, you know what? You got to pay for your mistakes. Sure enough, she paid for them all right. What she decided was, he'd actually had an ex-wife. Well, my woman decided she was going to have a pool put in. So sure enough, she thought she was going to have a pool. Guy came out and measured the property where the pool was going to be, and she takes, next thing you know, they called up. Called them up, I guess you could say. Well, come to find out, the property that the house was on was in her name. Yeah, his ex-wife. That didn't go over too well. So anyway, the ex-wife was in California. Well, wouldn't you know it, they called her up and they said, ma'am, your ex-husband, whatever, is wanting to put a pool on that property. That she was the owner of the dirt. Well, buddy, she's headed back to Florida. She come back here and she says, by the way, you need to get that house off my property. That was the start of it. Well, needless to say, they had to bail out. Talk about paying the price. Woo-wee. It had to have been a tough one there. Big, beautiful home. She was happy as she could be. All of a sudden, it turned into basically a life of hell. So they go ahead and get their own little apartment somewhere. They take off. Well, next thing you know, he's got cancer shortly thereafter. But in the meantime, they had moved further north in Florida. Well, she said, can my daughter come with me just up here to visit? And I said, well, sure, go ahead. No problem. So she went up there and they hung out there in their new little house they got. Then bought my ex-wife a PT Cruiser. I call it PT Loser, but nevertheless. So my daughter goes up there and stayed up there for a couple weeks. It's fine with me, I didn't care. It matters, alright. So she goes up there and they take and comes Hurricane Donna. I believe is the name of that hurricane. Hurricane Donna, buddy, it struck. And when it did, my daughter told me what happened. Well, went right over their house they were living in. And do you know that hurricane snapped all these trees off in the front yard? I mean, it was a sight to behold. So, didn't quite work out like she had planned, but that's God's plan right there. That's what happened. So, Things didn't turn out too well. Her PT Cruiser was out in the driveway. And you know, that hurricane, my daughter was telling me about it. She said they seen that car, PT Loser, went up in the air, came back down, right on the roof. Blowed all the windows out of it. Tree went right through the side of the door. Went practically all the way through the vehicle. Pretty amazing sight, I'm sure. So, it's not real funny, but it's just, you know, the way things go. You know, you do somebody wrong and better look out. This was sure enough proof of what can happen. It did happen. She told me all about it. So, next thing you know, I guess he had cancer and he ended up dying. They were only married for a pretty short time, actually. Probably 2 years, maybe. And it was all over. Good Lord said, enough is enough. And that's how it ended. Right there, just like that. With my wife, I don't know what she did after that. Had to move in with somebody, I guess, or something. I don't know. She wasn't never good at working. Never could hold down a freaking job. It never happened. I'm a witness to that one. So life goes on. Doesn't end there. Well, actually, it kind of did. She told me about what happened. I just kind of looked at her like, what do you expect? Go living like that and doing people wrong, don't work. Don't work like that. So I waited a few years and I decided, well, maybe I need to go over and get me an Oriental girl. And I gave that a shot. Sure enough, little Vietnamese girl. She was 29, I was 40. That was pretty cool, I thought. 29-year-old. She knew some English, but not a lot. Matter of fact, she didn't know hardly any. Communication was really a big problem. She just could not understand. Sometimes she would say, yeah, yeah, yeah. She had no idea, man. She would just say, yeah. So I'm like, okay, got to kind of deal with this one, you know. So I went to Vietnam, went over there for a while. Had some old boy do some video work for me because you're not allowed to video record in Vietnam. They won't let you. If they see you, they'll liable to throw you to the ground. That's what happened to a few people that went over there. It never did work out, taking videos and pictures and all that stuff. So we're over there, and I started getting sick. I guess I ate some of the family food one day over there, and that didn't turn out to be very good. So I went over there and we're eating some shrimp. And it got a little crazy because, like I said, I got sick, had to go to the hospital. Not feeling too good. Where's my coffee cup? Gotta have my coffee cup. Looking kind of neat, isn't it? I kind of dig it. Where's the coffee? It's over here. All right. I can't edit that. I just got to keep rolling. Ain't got no movie maker. We'll back us up a little bit. And we'll start putting all the other pieces in here. In the meantime, freaking glue, man. At least this Elmer's doesn't smell. I like that. Getting back to that Vietnamese girl. So now we're living together. Boy, what a treat that was. So she'd always go to this little Vietnamese, Chinese store or whatever. She always liked going there and getting the weirdest food, man, you ever seen. Eating duck eggs, big old eggs. And they weren't even refrigerated, man. They were like sitting out, you know. So anyways, I let her eat the eggs. I ain't got nothing to do with them. It just sounded a little weird to me. Eating raw duck eggs. Wow. She ate some other food too. She had some kind of dessert. It was in a sealed package, and I know why. Because over there, the Americans are not allowed to bring that stuff in the motel. Gads. So, but she had this dessert, supposed to be something good, I guess. I don't know what it was, but some kind of dessert. Man, that thing stunk so bad. Damn near wrecked the car, you know. I mean, it smelled awful. Man, when I got to the house, I had my head hanging out the window. That stuff stunk so bad. I don't know what it was. Some kind of thorny fruit of some type. Some of you Vietnamese women out there know exactly what I'm talking about. It's got like little prickly things all over it. Nasty. Oh, that stuff was nasty. She enjoyed it though, man. She was eating away and got to the house. And I told her, I said, you stay outside and eat that. I said, don't bring it inside the house. I said, I can't deal with that. That stuff smells bad. Yeah, she didn't like that idea, but sorry about your luck. But that's the way it goes. So, she took us out there on the curb till she got through eating that stupid snack, dessert, whatever the heck it was. I don't know what it was. I mean, it was so bad, whew, couldn't hack it. She was enjoying it. She thought it was the greatest thing in the world. Yeah. So, and a friend of hers turned her on to bleach. Oh, that was a real treat. Next thing you know, she's in there doing her laundry. And she worked nails. She did nails. She made really good money. Made more money than I did. Shoot, I was a locksmith making really good money. So, she did her clothes. When she opened that lid up, she had that Clorox in there. I mean, she had some really nice clothes she bought. They didn't buy nothing cheap. Like J.C. Penney's or, you know, one of them kind of places. She paid good money for that stuff. So she had tie-dye, basically. Oh yeah, it was all tie-dye. All kind of designs and all them clothes. She goes, oh my God. Yeah, I told you about that bleach. You wouldn't listen. course, she didn't know what I said, I don't think, but that was the hard part, man. She just was just didn't know the English language. That was a big problem. If you don't know what I'm trying to tell you, just say yeah, yeah, yeah. You ain't had a clue what I said. Not a clue. So she had to go buy a bunch more clothes, needless to say. Here we go back to the mall, buy some more clothes. Which is alright with her money, wasn't my money. I'm too busy paying the rent. And then she wound up getting this chicken. Thai store, frozen like a brick. I thought, wow, what is this? Oh, it's good, it's good, it's good. I don't know about all that, but take your word for it. Sure enough, she gets this freaking chicken, frozen like a brick. So then she takes and puts it in the sink, a little warm water, and thaws it all out real good. Can't get comfortable here, it ain't working. So she gets that chicken there and she takes it and cuts the bag open, and I kind of help her with it. Man, there's a whole chicken. I mean, this thing had head on it, beak on it, feet hanging out. I'm like, Lord have mercy, what have we got here? So she's over there with toenail clippers, clipping all the toenails off of it. Put that thing in a pot. Little squid juice on it. Some of their famous recipes, that squid juice. Man, I had blowflies smacking into the screen. Sound like helicopters, man. Big old fly. I ain't never seen flies so big. I didn't know they was even in Florida that big. The green flies. It must be them maggot carrier ones. They smelt that. Oh, nasty chicken, I guess. Boy, they wanted in bad too. They were hitting that freaking screen like no tomorrow. I was like amazed over that. I was like, wow, this is a freaking trip. So she got to cooking it, that chicken. It stunk so bad, I had to go back in the back room. I couldn't deal with that. I was like, wow, this is way too much for me, woman. I wasn't too sure about all this, but I tried to make it work. We lasted for about 14 months. And then we had to go back to immigration. After that 14 months of marriage. So I got back there to immigration and I walked into the room. Lady come out and said, yeah, you need to come here with me. So I went here with her. Lady had me go in the office. They got to ask me all these questions. Like, what did you have for dinner last night? Or what did you have, what color's your toothbrush? What did you have for supper yesterday? So they're asking all these questions to see if she's really living with you or not. That's what they're doing. I want to make sure that this is, you know, a legal thing. They're not bringing her over here for, you know, because for somebody else or something, I don't know. But anyway, I had to answer all these questions for them, no problem. So they had like 10 sheets of paper lined out on the table. I'm like, what the heck's all this paper? All highlighted where you have to sign them. The guy looks at me and he says, sitting there in his chair, and he says, you know, Steve, he says, I want you to look over these. He says, I just want you to know you're going to be responsible for her. It really got me to thinking. This woman can't even drive. Well, she kind of could. It's kind of scary, but he said, you know, Steve, he says, when you sign all these pieces of paper, he says, you're going to be responsible for her because you sponsored her here to the U.S. You're going to have to set this viewer here a little different. Now I can see it. Yeah. So, he says, you're going to be responsible for her for the next 40 quarters for 10 years. If anything happens, any accidents, anybody gets killed or whatever, just want you to know it's on you. Boy, that got me to thinking really big time. I says, well, how about we do this? Took all those papers and shoved them all together. I said, I'll tell you what, I ain't signing nothing. You just keep them. He said, okay. So he kept them. So I want nothing to do with it. I said, when you talk to her, you don't say this had anything to do with me. Because she done told me she would cut me in my sleep. That was kind of freaky. That'll get your attention. You know where she was going to cut too, don't you? Needless to say, I did sleep on my belly. She says, you better not divorce me. I cut you in your sleep. But holy cow, she meant it too. She was not joking, and I knew it. So I had to be careful. Yeah, had to be careful on that one. That was just a little too scary for me. You know what, I'm going to need a lot more pieces here than I expected. And that really sucks. But it's the way it goes. So, while we was over in Vietnam, I got to tell you about this part. They did ask her a bunch of questions, this, that, and the other, and I guess she said whatever, I don't know. Maybe they figured it all out, I guess. I know I figured it out right away. I wouldn't, no part of that, man. No. I'm not going to be a part of that. That ain't going to happen. At all. No, didn't want no part of that mess. So, come down to, we're coming back, and on the way back from immigration, she says, what'd they say? What'd they say? Oh, it's nothing. It's no big deal. It's fine. It's okay. Yeah, everything's okay. I couldn't tell her the truth. No, couldn't do that. It'd have been a big no-no. Yeah, honey, everything's gonna be just fine. Don't worry about it. You'll be alright. You'll be okay. Yeah, she kinda didn't believe it. Tried to convince her of that, but oh well. So next thing you know, here comes this letter in the mail from immigration. You will be deported. Of course, she didn't know English, but the people at the nail salon did. They said, you're going to be deported. So I got home that one day there, and she wasn't there. I was like, I wonder what that's all about. I called her up on her cell phone. I says, yeah, Trang, where you at? Oh, up here at the mall. Well, I didn't hear any voices at all. It was just dead quiet. said, "You're at the mall?" She said, "Yeah." No, she was on a Greyhound. She was headed down the road, buddy. Exactly where she was headed. Because, I mean, I couldn't hear nothing with no people, no nothing. Dead quiet. The Greyhound bus that girl was on, sure enough. Didn't upset me any. I was like, thank God she's gone, man. I had enough of that. So, that's kind of the way that went down. She hooked it and she was out of there. Another ex-wife, number 2. Had the American, had the Vietnamese. I guess some people probably wind up with a good girl from Vietnam. I mean, I hear they're all about family. Very family-oriented people. They're known as the gentle people. What they claim they are, I guess they are, I don't know. She wasn't too gentle in some ways, I guess. But that's the way life goes, man. You just kind of deal with it, roll with it. Roll with the punches. So glad to see all that over with. My daughter didn't like her either. Her daughter had a problem with it. I didn't like that lady. She just said, yeah. It reminded me of her mother. It's going to look different on the wall, isn't it? Probably can't wait till it's done, can you? Yeah, you and me both. I thought it'd be kind of cool to make a puzzle painting. I never fooled with nothing like this before. Something new, you know. You get tired of doing the same old crap. That's just me. I don't want to do the same something I've already done because that gets boring. So doing something different. It's kind of what life's about. You gotta do something different. You don't want to do the same old crap too long. Kind of like the job I had working as a locksmith. That was pretty nuts of it, let me tell you. One of the craziest jobs I've ever had, among many others. Dropping pieces on the floor here, that's pretty good. And a drink of coffee here, I think. So, kind of the way life goes. Some people are dying to live. Others are living to die. Kind of what my dad did. He starved himself to death. The hospital he was in, he wouldn't eat. He just had enough. You know, he was 84, mom was gone, sister was gone. So I guess that kind of left him, I guess thinking that was the end of the world for him, best I can figure. That's kind of the way he went. I was down in Florida, he was in Ohio. My other family was up in Ohio. Not me, I wanted to come down to Florida. Got tired of that snow and ice, man. I had enough of all that. Too much to deal with. So, I'm going to show you a little clip here of part 1 here on my cell phone. And here I am. Yeah, oh, hippie. Yeah, that's me. So at any rate, now here's a little shot here of part 1. Still waiting for something to happen, you know. So sure enough, next thing you know, I'm looking around for where that boat's coming. I'm still under the water. I'm probably, I don't know, 4 feet under. I keep pushing myself down because I know it's going to come back. So I'm waiting for it to pass by. Sure enough, all these little bubbles, I mean, there was like millions of them. I was in a cloud of little bubbles. And I was like, wow, that's that boat. So about that time when the bubbles started to fade out a little bit, I shot back to the top real quick. It wasn't like 6 seconds later, and that boat was coming right back at me again. And I'm like, what am I going to do? Must have been a man upstairs said, Steve, what you need to do is, when you come out of that water, and that boat swings around that circle in a clockwise position basically, and it come around, and what I did is I threw my hands up against the side of that boat, and I shoved myself, sucked my stomach in, and watched that prop go right through, right where my gut was. And that water sprayed in my face. I never will forget it. Never will forget that. So that water sprayed in my face. And I was like, wow. And about that, maybe the whiskey numbed it enough. I don't know. Getting near that edge. You know where I'm coming from? I thought, Lord, I wonder where this story's going to go. Clockwise position, basically, and it come around. Yes. So he's up there climbing up that tree, and the next thing you know, the limb had grabbed a hold of the trigger. I guess he forgot to disarm it. Sure enough, a limb grabbed that trigger, and he was holding the very top of the barrel of the gun of the .22 rifle. So, needless to say, it shot his little finger, his pinky, shot it off. Basically, it was hanging down by a piece of skin. Yeah. And you can't make this stuff up. That's what I'm trying to get at. This stuff just happens. So, he said he took and went back to the shack. I thought, Lord, I wonder where this story's going to go. So he gets back to the shack and goes in the house, gets his bottle of whiskey out, and takes his finger, which he'd rolled up in his hand, took his little pinky there and took and rolled it up, stuck his finger up there like that, and was holding it inside of his hand. It was winter time, and he kept that pinky up underneath there. And he's headed back to the shack here with it. And he goes inside and gets his bottle of whiskey out and some needle and thread. And you know, he sewed that finger back on his freaking hand with needle and thread. Believe that? Out here last night, guess he had one of them street walking ladies over there. You know what I'm talking about. And come to find out, he got stabbed over 100 times with an ice pick. Wow. Gosh.
He burned a Bible.
And to top it all off, they never did catch the girl that did it. Never did. As far as I know, she's free to this day. I don't think she ever did get caught. So, Ended up, I found out, I wanted to find out where he was buried. Well, he was buried with the paupers. Come by this one barber shop and I peeked in the door. The barber come out there and said, "Hey, like a haircut?" "Well, how much is it?" He says, "For you and your buddy, it's free today. Come on in." I thought, well, you can't beat that. I get a free haircut, man. That's cool. I can roll with that. Now we can get a place to rent. Sure enough, walked inside. He said, "How you want it cut?" I said, "Just like everybody else in this town." He says, "All right." He said, "We'll cut her off." I said, "Let's do it." Sure enough, man, he trimmed around them ears and cut the back up there, up the neck and all that. And I was like, wow, I could feel the coolest breeze I had felt in years. It's amazing the difference I felt. It was like, wow, this really feels nice, actually. It's nice and cool. So we took and hopped out of the chair and shook the man's hand and thanked him. He said, "No problem." He said, "We was glad to do it for you." I bet he was too. And sure enough, we walked out the door, and guess who was headed towards us? 2 police officers. And both of them said, "Morning, gentlemen. Now, if he'd have seen us 30 minutes earlier, he'd probably reached for his gun or keep an eye on them boys." You know what I'm saying? It was crazy, man, but yeah. You know what? We finally got a place to rent after that. Wasn't no problem. It took us right on in. Amazing how that worked. After a while, he's over there acting all stupid and drunk and just acting like an idiot. So I finally had enough of all that. I told myself, well, let's just go. I said, I'm not really in the mood to do much fishing right now. I said, we'll worry about this later on. So I left. We left. Maybe I should have left him there. I don't know. So at any rate, we leave and I get back to the shack. I told him, I said, "Get out of the truck, man." I said, "I'm going to go do me some fishing." So, all right. So he slammed the door on the truck, all ticked off at me. Well, I didn't do anything wrong. He's the one that got all drunk, acting stupid, not me. I think I had 1 beer. He drank 5. Imagine that. So, it ain't been boring. No, sure hasn't. No, it ain't been boring at all. So I wanted to make this video. I'm sure I've got more here to talk about here eventually when I come up with something that happened down the road. I hitchhiked around the United States for quite some time. About 4 years, actually. So all I did was hitchhike. Traveled around. Wasn't no big deal back then. Except for that guy out there on the interstate. The guy told me, he said, "Yeah," he said, "some guys running around killing hitchhikers, burying them with their backpacks." Well, guess what? I had backpacks and I was hitchhiking through Texas at the same time. That Texas murderer was out there. Well, I never ran across him. It's a good thing because I think I'd have got him because I had my sleeping bag and I never put my stuff. Sure enough, we never did have a problem. Not once. That whole time. No, sure didn't. We got stuck out there somewhere. I don't know. Nobody It was like somebody dropped us off in the middle of nowhere, man. I mean, there was no traffic, like in the middle of an old farm road. We had long hair. I'm sure that probably had something to do with it. The guy said, well, I'm gonna fix them. I'm gonna stick them out here and drop them off. That's what he did. So we went out there, man, it'd be 30 minutes go by, you wouldn't even see a car, man. I'm like, wow, this is bad news, dude. We're gonna be stuck out here. So we hung out there and for a long time trying to get a freaking ride. So sure enough, this guy, old farmer, pulls up a hog pen. That's what it was, like a hog pen. I could not believe it, man. Yep. Never will forget that ride. That was not a good ride, let me tell you. Nope, did not enjoy that ride at all. But that's what happens out on the farm. Pretty much.
Part 1.
Unbelievable. But that's the way it goes. Eventually, I guess we did get a ride. I don't know how long we was out there, but out there quite a while. Eventually, I guess we did get a ride. I don't know how long we was out there, but while we had a little money there, of course, she was in control of the checkbook and all that kind of stuff. You know, it kind of scared me a little bit. And I figured maybe she'll do good here with that, you know. Be my bookkeeper. That's why I ain't gotta worry about writing all the checks out and all this kind of stuff. Well, sure enough, she got the checkbook, and eventually she got a credit card. So time went on. I mean, several months have gone by. Maybe, I don't know, a year probably, a year or so. And I told her, I says, I got to look at the checkbook and this, that, and the other. And some of the stuff she'd write down, I guess maybe some of it she wouldn't. Well, she was going through that money like crazy, man. I'm like, what the heck is going on here? $250 at the drugstore. I don't know if anybody bought nails and polish. It was $250. Well, come to find out, she'd go there at the Eckers or whatever it was, one of them stores. I think it was Eckers, though. So sure enough, she's there at the place there and got her nails and little polish put on them. You know, looking real pretty like. So I told her, I said, well, what's this $250? I said, at Eckers, $300 and this, that, and the other. She says, well, now I needed some money. I'm thinking to myself, wow, okay, you needed money. What in the world do you need all this money for? No, she wasn't in drugs and all that stuff. She wouldn't even take an aspirin half the time. Afraid she's going to have an aneurysm or something. So sure enough, after a while there, I'm like, you know what? I'm working my hind end off here, running calls day and night, trying to keep up with everything. So went along after that. We wound up. I told her, I said, well, chill out on the nails and crap, would you? If you need any money, let me know. And I said, I'll get you some. No problem. I get tips and stuff during the day, you know, people tip me. And sure enough, next thing you know, of course, get a couple credit cards, you know how that goes. You gotta get your credit cards going. And you start going through your credit cards. Spend them like no tomorrow. Oh, eventually you'll get them caught up, I guess. You think you will. So, next thing you know, we went ahead and went down to the car lot and going to buy a car. said, this is a nice car here. He said, you'll like it. He said, I'll tell you what. He said, take it home, you can drive it. You can drive it all week. And it's time I was driving an old 64 Ford pickup. Nice looking truck, man. I took care of it, repainted it all up, fixed it up real nice. Of course, the steering was never right because of the gearbox. And the steering was kind of like it would drift. Went a little bit off the road, that thing would swing one way or swing the other way, and you had to be ready. Okay. So sure enough, we ended up getting this LXI Accord. Nice car, man. This was like a demo model, so he got, oh yes, I can give you a break on this. He said this was a demo. You know, we drive around with, you know, our customers looking at our Hondas and all this, that, and the other. And I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, well, that's why I decided to go ahead and get it. It was $26,000. Payments were like, it was more than my rent. Let's put it that way. Time they had everything on it, it was like, wow, I wasn't quite ready for that bill. So, sure enough, we get the car, and I told her, she smoked at the time, and I did too. So I told her, I said, by the way, I said, don't be smoking in this car. I said, it's going to start stinking really bad. So, she's driving this car around, you know, I'm at work all day, and shoot, the only time I ever get to drive is on the weekend. I don't drive it through the week. I'm busy running these freaking calls. Trying to keep track of these bills. I got a little baby I'm raising, my little daughter, you know, little Heidi. Take care of her. All the things that she needs along with the wife. It's like, man, I am going through some money here. I don't know how long it's going to last, but I'm willing to play it out. So, lo and behold, we ended up getting a call from a credit card, or he had a credit card. That came later. But anyway, we get a call from the Honda dealer. Your check bounced. I'm thinking to myself, it bounced. I couldn't quite figure it out. I thought, man, must be a credit card she's using. Could have run her net.
Here she'd been using a credit card. Well, I never checked on that stuff. When I was young and dumb, you know how that goes. Some things you just don't pay attention to, but you better. So, next thing you know, I hear this noise outside. This is probably, I don't know, maybe a couple of months after that phone call. So I ended up sending them a check or whatever. Well, I guess it just didn't play out too well. I heard this noise out front. Kind of reminded me of maybe a tow truck driver. Diesel engine kind of thing going, you know. So sure, I peek out the window. And here's the, people are coming to get the car. I'm like, uh-oh. We're not going to have any transportation here. So sure enough, guys hooking up to the car, got the cable, chains out there and all this crap. And I slip out that door and I hollered at the guy. I said, yo. I said, what are you doing? Well, we're here to get the car and this, that, and the other for, you know, non-payment and this, that, and I said, well, okay, no big deal. I said, would you like the keys to it? I guess they never end up getting the keys. The people who lose their car will not give the keys back because they're all ticked off. Well, I'm not like that. I'll give you the keys to it, no problem. I said, oh, I really appreciate that. I said, yeah, no problem, man. You got the car, you got the keys. There you go. So anyway, he splits, no car, car's gone. And that's kind of how that went. Lost the car, and I guess eventually we wound up getting an old beater car or something. Trust me, we got an old Topaz, like an 84 model, little four-banger. Man, what a joke that car was. it seemed to eat up that one tire really bad. Well, it had a bent, I don't know, some kind of bent thing underneath the axle thing or something. I don't know, somebody ran a curb or hit a stump or something, but I don't know, ran over something, but it was screwed up.
Enjoying the video?
So I was driving this car. Next thing you know, the freaking coil thing went out. The heater coil thing with the water ran through it. Well, the heater coil, I guess, got a hole in it. So I'm driving down the road. Some of these stories I've told you about. Man. Actually, things that actually did happen. Out the back, be sure to leap as far as you can, because what's going to happen, that prop will suck your head right into that prop. Just suck you right in, take your brains out, skull, eyeballs, whatever. It will mess you up big time. So anyway, it threw me out of the back of the boat. Of course, I dived way, probably 10 feet away from the boat, man. I leaped really hard. And I jumped, landed in the water, and I remember them saying, always remember, that boat is going to make a complete circle. Where you jumped out, that boat is going to run right over you. So, be aware of that. So I was definitely aware of it. So I went into the water, and of course I didn't have a life jacket on, which was a dang good thing. If I'd had a life jacket on, I might not be here today to tell you this story. So at any rate, I'm down under the water. And I keep pushing myself down, keep myself down. I was only like, I don't know, probably 22 at the time. So I goes in the house, gets his bottle of whiskey out, and takes his finger, which he rolled up in his hand, took his little pinky there and rolled it up, stuck his finger up there like that, and he was holding it inside of his hand. It was winter time, and he kept that pinky up underneath there, and he's headed back to shack here with it. And he goes inside, gets his bottle of whiskey out, and some needle and thread. And he sewed that finger back on his freaking hand with needle and thread. Believe that? I kid you not. So I'm like, yeah, so you sewed it on? He said, well, first I'm going to soak it in kerosene. So we had some kerosene from a lantern. Soaked his freaking finger in kerosene. I'm like, wow, and this is it's a true story. So I said, you gotta be kidding me. He said, no. He says, then I got the bottle of whiskey out, my needle and thread there, and poured some whiskey over my fingers. It burned like hell, but other than that, he started sewing his finger back on. And I was just like, wow. I couldn't even imagine that. Sewing your finger back on with needle and thread. Maybe the whiskey numbed it enough, I don't know. But sure enough, he showed me his hand. And I was like, the stitches were like all crooked. I mean, his finger was a little bit bent. But I'll tell you what, he could still whip it. He still had movement. I was like, wow. And you could tell by the way that thing was sewn on there, there ain't no way a doctor had sewed that on his finger. I mean, them stitches were kind of crooked. I was like, wow. I thought I'd seen everything till I seen that. And I'm like, holy cow. That was just amazing. Can't believe it. Yeah, he sewed that baby on there, all right. I couldn't believe it actually worked as good as it did. Yeah, it worked almost kind of like new, but not new, but kind of.
Well, I see the second hand is working well. Just put a battery in it. Yeah, looks kind of cool, doesn't it? Yeah, different. Yeah, I see the second hand moving, so we're good. Good to go. What do you know? Huh. Well, looks like it's keeping time so far. We'll set it at 9 o'clock, I guess. No, set 9 o'clock. It'll be a while if I ever make another one of these. If I ever do. That crazy thing. 9 o'clock, baby. Yep, she's a ticking. Cool. I got a clock for the living room. How about that? By the way, when I first got married, my first wife, had a little baby girl. Cute as a button. Of course, the guys thought so too. Cute little girl. Yep, wound up with 9 grandkids, imagine that. There she is, must have been, I don't know, probably a month old. 20 years old, working at auto parts store. Yeah. Those were the days. Thank God those are over. And here's a truck I was driving. the time. Well, that truck there can tell some stories, let me tell you. My old 64 Ford F100 pickup. Got A1 locksmiths back then. That's where I first started my locksmithing career. Yeah. Cool looking truck. So we got the clock going here. I've got a few more pieces here I gotta paint. So I did on each corner I put black pieces. Zoom in on that clock a little bit there. There she is, keeping time. So I've got more pieces here I gotta go paint. When I get all through, oh, yeah, I got a lot of pieces to paint. So that's the time clock, 3-dimensional, when it's completed. Looks pretty cool, doesn't it? Well, I'm going to leave you now. The last pictures you'll see is all completed, hang on the wall. And I'll put those pictures in the video if I can. Because I ain't got no movie maker, so I'm kind of like stuck. Stuck like Chuck, you know what I'm saying? I'll see what happens. I don't have a movie maker, I can't do no freaking editing. I hate that. But, oh well. So yeah, that's where we're going to end up, right there. For now. Appreciate you watching. Hope you enjoyed all the crap. Y'all be careful out there. And take care, man. Stay alive. It won't be long, it'll be over. The older you get, the faster it goes. Good luck. Hey, give me a thumbs up, would you? Appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Be careful.